What is your profession?
Points of Genestealer cult. So I'm taking a bit of a different list today, guys. I've mixed things up. So what I have is 3 battalions, and the troop choices for the first battalion is 3 squads of neophyte hybrids. Each one's got 2 heavy stubbers and a grenade launcher. You guys are familiar with that loadout. And then I've also got 3 more squads for the second battalion, and each one's just got auto guns, including on the sergeant, except for there's 1 Weber in each squad there as well. Then I've got some more close combat options. So I have 2 squads of acolytes, each one with 2 rock drills, 2 rock saws. One of the squads, the leader has lash whip and bone sword and a cult icon. The other squad has no upgrades outside the mining weapons. And we've got 1 more just rounding out the 3rd battalion, 1 more squad of those Weber neophytes. I've then got some fire support in the form of 3 Goliath trucks and 2 Achilles Ridge Runners. In my elites and fast attack section, I've got a Sanctus with a Bio Dagger, a Locus, 10 Aberrants, 2 Hypermorphs with the improvised weapon, 2 regular guys with hammers, everyone else with picks. And in the back there you can see 5 Atalan Jackals. They've got all got demo charges and shotguns. The characters for this force today, we're going to have a Patriarch who has a Familiar, a Magus, another Magus with a Familiar, Acolyte Icon Ward, the Jackal Alphas, and the Primer. So it's a pretty good force. Nice mixture of combat, shooty, and ambushing capability. I'm actually running a cult creed, a custom cult creed today, guys. So normally I would be using Hive Cult with this, and I take advantage of the Hive Cult Warlord trait and the stratagem. But today we're going to mix things up a little bit. I'm going to be using armor piercing ammunition, which as my first custom trait, which means all my auto guns, when within half range, have got additional AP, so that'll be really, really good. And then I also have gone for seasoned enforcers, which means I do not suffer the penalty for moving and shooting with my heavy mining weapons, which is these heavy stubbers here. So the plan, what I normally do is I have these fire support squads in the dedicated transports, and they act as a fire base. What I'm going to actually mix up today, guys, is I'm probably going to ambush in with all my neophytes, and what I'll do is I'll put my close combat units inside the trucks, and that means that I can come in turn 2, 70 neophytes, and make the most out of those 2 custom creeds. I really wish that I got the armor piercing ammo on my vehicles, but sadly for some reason Genestealer cult vehicles don't benefit from cult creeds. So there we go, guys. Nice little compact Genestealer force. Let's see what they're going to be facing off against today. So going up today against the Genestealer cult will be the new and improved Tempestus Scions. So my opponent today has really put a lot of love into time. It truly is a labour of love, and it actually makes me really jealous. So James has been, we've sort of known about 40k for a long time, and but he only really got into it at the beginning of 8th edition properly, and since then he's been busy building up his perfect Scion force. And finally today, after 2.5 years, he's finally got everything painted up just the way he likes it. So we'll go through his list. This truly is, there's so many conversions, so many little bits, guys. So this is how you do a proper Scion force. It's very, very cool. So there are 3 battalions here today. Each one is led by a Tempestus Prime and a Lord Commissar, and there are 3 squads in each battalion. So we'll start off with the first one. We've got a Tempestus Prime, and he has a Rod of Command and a Power Sword, and the Lord Commissar has a Plasma Pistol and Power Sword. The first 5-man squad has a Tempestus Prime with a Plasma Pistol, Chainsword, and there's 2 Flamers and 2 Hotshot Lasgun guys in there. Second squad has got a Chainsword and a Plasma Pistol, 2 Plasma Guns. Have you paid for that Voxcaster?
Yeah.
Got a Voxcaster and a Hotshot Lasgun. And the second squad is very similar: Chainsword, Plasma Pistol, 2 Plasma Guns, and 2 Hotshot Lasgunners there. Moving on to the second battalion, we've got another Tempestus Prime. This guy has got a Power Sword and a Rod of Command as well. And the Lord Commissar has got a Plasma Pistol and a Power Sword. I absolutely love that conversion. We've then got a squad with a Chainsword and a Plasma Pistol, 2 Hotshot Lasguns, and 2 Hotshot Volley Guns. Squad behind, we've got the first of the Power Fist squad leaders, and he's got a Plasma Pistol, Power Fist, 2 Melter Guns, Voxcaster, and also 2 Lasgun guys there as well. And I really like these little carbine conversions, red dot sights that have been done there. So that's quite a punchy squad. You know, the Plasma Pistol and the Power Fist and the Melters will definitely be popping those light vehicles of the cult. Last squad of this battalion is another Plasma Pistol Chainsword guy, 2 Plasma Gunners, and 2 Hotshot Lasguns. And if you can see here, these guys have got the little grav shoot fins from the Reaver kit on them. So absolutely awesome little conversion that. Third battalion mixing up a little bit with the fact that there's a 10-man squad in here with 4 Plasma Guns and a Plasma Pistol and a Chainsword on the sergeant there. Then got 2 more 5-man squads, one with 2 Hotshot Volley Guns, and the sergeant with the Plasma Pistol and Chainsword. And then we've also got the last squad here, Plasma Pistol, Chainsword, and then we've got 2 Plasma Guns. There's one just slung over the back of that guy, and 2 Lasguns as well. So lots and lots of plasma just in those basic troop choices. Of course, again led by a Tempestus Prime with is he got the command rod as well?
Yeah.
Command rod. Awesome, all the same, command rod, and then this awesome classic Commissar, Power Sword, and Plasma Pistol. So that's the basic sort of foundation of these 3 battalions. We've then got, for some even more special weapons, the Scions thought, we've brought, you know, like 1 million special weapons already, but that's clearly not enough. We need more special weapons. So we've got 2 command squads, each one bristling with 4 plasma guns. That's a lot of plasma in one place. Got 2 support characters today. We've got the Officer of the Fleet and a Vindicare Assassin. Now this is the classic Vindicare sculpt that came back on order with the Made to Order that Games Workshop did. So that's actually different to the ones you can buy from Games Workshop. That's actually a really cool little sculpt. Much better when he's actually aiming the rifle. And then we've got the mobility, dedicated transport, and bullet hoses all wrapped into one. We've got 5 Taurox Primes. Each one has got a Taurox Gatling cannon, a Storm Bolter, and Hotshot Volley Guns. So absolutely just loads of Dakar Primes there. And last but not least, we have the air support for today. We've got 2 Valkyries, both armed with multi-laser, heavy bolter, side door gunners, and multiple rocket pods. So all the Dakar. So as you can see, guys, the vehicles here are just pumping out the anti-infantry, and the infantry have got a little bit of anti-infantry in there, but actually they're just rocking loads and loads of plasma. And this is exactly the way you want to be running your Scions. You want to have as many Tempestus Primes as you're allowed to take with the rule of 3, back those up with your Lord Commissars so that your little 5-man Scion squads fight to the last man, and you just cram in a good sort of 90% of your special weapons as plasma with a little smattering of other things to give you a bit of tactical flexibility. So that's a really beautiful army, James. Really looking forward to eating the brains of these guys. What we'll do now is we'll go through the relics and warlord traits for each army, and after that we'll go on to the field of battle, deployment and mission. So here we have the Warlord, Psychic, and Relic Bearers of the Genestealer cult. So the Patriarch has to be the Warlord, because if you take a Patriarch in a Genestealer cult army, he has to be your Warlord, and his Warlord trait will be Shadow Stalker, which means he's AP -1 all the time. I've taken loads of different Warlord traits in this guy, and I've always found that just being AP -1 is the best one by miles. I have then taken for his Psychic powers Mental Onslaught and Might from Beyond. The second Psyker is the female Magus, and she has the first relic, and that is the Crouchling, so she knows an extra power. And her 3 Psychic powers are Psionic Blast, Mind Control, and Might from Beyond. I've taken Might from Beyond her as well as a backup. Should also say that she gets +1 to cast on the Genestealer cult powers, but that doesn't apply to her Smite. Third Psyker is the male Magus, and he has Psychic Stimulus and Mass Hypnosis. The Jackal Alphas has my additional relic, which I spent 1 CP on, and that is the Gift from Beyond, which is the really, really good sniper rifle. Moving on to the Scions, we have the guy with the coat is going to be the main Warlord for today. He is going to have the Lambden Lion Warlord trait, which is key to the armory, so everyone within 6 inches of him will be rerolling once to hit. He will also have the first relic, which is the Refractor Field Generator, which means everyone within 6 inches of him will also have a 5-up invulnerable save. So stick near this guy if you want to shoot good and live. Second Tempestus Prime has got the additional Warlord trait, which I believe is, you get that for 1 CP from the Scions. It's called Progeny of Conflict, and he is going to have from the Guard book Master of Command, so he can do an extra order. And the last guy here, he is going to have an extra Warlord trait via the Field Commander stratagem. So James is taking the Vigilus detachment today. He's going to have the Drop Force Commando, and James has spent another CP on an additional relic for Auto Reliquary of Tiberius. So he can do an extra order on a 2+. So lots and lots of buffing coming from these characters. I didn't mention it before. The Scions are all going to be the Lambden Lions, so that means they've all got an additional AP -1, which is really, really good. That's absolutely horrible for me to face. All those hot las guns are just going to be tearing through me. Those Gatling cannons are going to be doing a lot of damage to me as well. So that is the all the Warlord traits, Relic Bearers and Psychic people of the 2 armies. Let's get on with this game, and we will now go to deployment and mission. So here we have the field of battle. Scions arrayed down this end, looking into a strangely quiet village. So what we're doing today, guys, we're going for a really narrative, rule of cool style battle report. And we've built up quite a lot of fluff around this. So this world that we're on has normally been a good, prosperous planet for the Imperium. But recently some trouble's been brewing. And throughout the sector, there has been uprisings from a mysterious cult known as the Brotherhood. And they thought that this planet had got away with without there being any trouble. But recently, some of the villages, the mining villages and the oil extracting villages, have not been sort of paying their tithes, not been delivering what they should do to the Administratum. And when the Scions sent in an initial scouting vehicle, they lost contact with it. The last thing to come over the Vox was the strangled cries of before it was cut off mysteriously. So the Scions knew that something was going on in this village, and they called down a preliminary bombardment, and then they've sent in a proper ground force. At the moment, Scions aren't sure if this is the mysterious Brotherhood that has been infecting the whole system, or if it is just some locals getting a bit uppity and not wanting to give away all their hard-earned work to the wider Imperium. Although someone knows something's going on, because a Vindicare assassin has been approved for this mission. Maybe some shadowy Inquisitor is watching the proceedings and seeing how do the Scions deal with this insurrection, and indeed what kind of insurrection is it. So we'll get into the actual mechanics now, guys. So we've got the first Valkyrie here, a nice armoured core of Tauroxes. One of them has come off the road on Overwatch looking into the village, and we have another Valkyrie on the Scions' right flank. There's a lot of, as you can see, small villages, lots and lots of terrain on this board, which will be really interesting. But for the Genestealer cult deployment, as usual, we just have the mysterious blips, and they're in this sort of cluster down this end of the board. The mission we're playing, guys, is we're going to be doing Retrieval Mission. It's just from the main rule book, and there's 4 objectives. 1 in the church, 1 in the town centre, 1 in this part of the village, and 1 covering this sort of tarpaulin and the supplies underneath. You get 3 points for each objective you hold at the end of the game. So basically the Scions are coming in here, they're going to crack some heads and they're going to make sure that these bloody peasants are giving their tithe. That's what they're retrieving. So there we go. Now James does have the first turn, and as we're going for more of a sort of narrative feel, I will let him have the first turn because I want to draw him in. Now we will see, the Scions will see if the Brotherhood is here, and we'll see what happens after the end of Scion turn 1. So the Valkyries came screaming in, 1 down the left flank, 1 down the right flank, number 13 and number 14, and they unleashed everything they had into this Achilles Ridge Runner, and unfortunately, due to them going extremely fast and one of them being ironically named Lucky number 13, they only did 4 wounds to the Achilles Ridge Runner. That was really unlucky. James was hitting on 5s with most of his weapons in the multi-laser and the heavy bolters, and he just got really lucky. He didn't hit with most of the time. When he did get a hit, it was 1 hit out of 6 with a pair of heavy bolters, so really unfortunate. And then with the number of shots, one of the Valkyries only rolled 4 shots, and the other one did get the average of 7. But it was it was unfortunate. The Scions have come in, and the Valkyries obviously, you know, were just sort of doing a scouting mission, and then suddenly they realised the Brotherhood, the infamous Brotherhood, is here. This actually mission has got very dangerous indeed, and maybe that was why they sort of pulled the trigger maybe a bit early on those rocket pods, and they didn't quite find their mark. The Vindicare popped in over here and unleashed a turbo penetrator round. James did have to use a CP to get the damage result that he wanted, but he was able to do 2 damage to this vehicle. So there we go, guys. The Brotherhood have been spotted. Their presence has been confirmed by the Valkyrie pilots. The initial damage to them has been light, and now the Brotherhood will get a chance to respond. Just a couple of things to mention. I had used 1 CP pre-game for an extra relic. I then used another one to put 2 of my blips, the units that were there, into reserve, and then I had to use another one to bring my Jackal Alphas, who was here, down to here. And the reason I did that was quite simply because if I hadn't, I'm fairly confident that this Vindicare would have sniped her. So even though the Vindicare did a couple of wounds to one of my trucks, tactically he has actually forced me to spend a CP, which is important. Now the Scions themselves actually spent 6 pre-game, and they spent another one, the 2. Yeah, 1 for turbo penetrator, 1 for the reroll. So they've actually already spent 8. So they're down to 10 CP already. So that is significant. And the Genestealer cult have spent 1 pre-game and 2 others, so we're down to 15. So there we go, guys. The Brotherhood has been detected, and now they will launch phase 1 of this ambush. Let's see how it goes in Brotherhood turn 1. So the Brotherhood unleashed phase 1 of their ambush with cold, calculated fury. The Jackal Alphas moved round to here and then put designated target onto the Torx Prime. That meant that everyone within 6 inches of her got +1 to hit against it. The 3 trucks opened up with their twin autocannon and heavy stubber, and after the dust had settled, it was reduced to just 2 wounds. James was pretty unlucky on his armor states, and every single one of those autocannon shots that went through just stripped 2 hull points from that vehicle. Then, just to try it out, we tried raking fire on this Ridge Runner. Even though the Torx Prime was already down to just 2 wounds, I did want to see if I could finish it off with the stubbers, but I put the heavy mine laser in there just in case. And what raking fire does, it's 1 CP, and it gives you +1 to hit and +1 to wound with a unit of Achilles Ridge Runners, which is this one here. And that meant that my stubbers were actually hitting on 2s then and wounding the Torx Prime on 4s. I didn't even need to fire the manning laser. I hit with 4 shots and then got 3 wounds through And James unfortunately failed 2 saves, and that Torx did die. It did not explode, but one of the guys did die inside. So there's 4 from the squad, and then the Tempestus Prime in the centre there. Last but certainly not least, after that display, the other Achilles Ridge Runner, the one that had been damaged, was able to get a fantastic hit on the nose of this Valkyrie. And we got the hit through, we got the wound through using a CP, and because I rolled a 1 at first. Then James then failed his armour save, needed a 6 up, and then I got 6 damage. And another wound was then put on by the heavy stubbers. So that Valkyrie has taken half damage already. Clearly, they just were not expecting this level of threat from this village. So they've been caught a little bit unawares. But now I think we're going to see the Scions kicking it up a gear. All these Torxes are going to be in range. They're all going to be AP -1, at least on those guns. And I think the light arm of the Brotherhood is going to be in trouble. So at the end of that turn, the Genestealer Cult have managed to get 1 point for first blood. We killed a vehicle and damaged a Valkyrie. And the Scions have tickled a couple of my vehicles. They didn't get first blood, unfortunately. Let's see what the Scions can do to respond to this ambush. Their training should kick in. Let's see what happens in Scion turn 2. Responding to the ambush, the Scions training kicked in, and they quickly assessed the situation and devised the appropriate counter measures. So the Torxes moved forward in an iron line, spewing out, covering fire. This one came into a flanking position. This Valkyrie was put into hover mode, and that because James was like, I think it's going to die anyway, so I might as well get maximum shots out of it, and it deployed its 10-man cargo. The Commissar were around there giving them leadership boosting. Now, they then unleashed absolute plasma death onto this Goliath truck, and the Lasguns didn't even need to go. James did 14 wounds, overcharged plasma, absolutely rinsed me. He did unfortunately though lose the sergeant with his plasma pistol overcharged. The one dice James got a 1 was on a sergeant, who then killed himself. The Valkyrie and this Valkyrie put fire into the squad that piled out. 2 actually died. No, none of them died on the way out. But after the dust had settled, 5 of them had perished, but they did stand firm on their leadership check. The Torxes combined with this plasma. 2 of the Torxes, combined with this plasma squad, were able to down the wounded truck. And then these 2 Torxes were able to kill 5.5 of the aberrants, but I spent 2 CP to keep them in the game. I believe they also suffered from a strafing run from the officer of the fleet. He called in his once per game air support ability. James spent the CP from the greater good, which basically means he gets +2 to that roll, which means on a 1 nothing happens, but on a 2 or a 3 I take D3 mortal wounds, and on a 4+, I take 3 mortal wounds, and he got the 4, and I took 3 mortal wounds. So that was pretty good. So after the dust had settled, I think I did make a couple of feel no pains though, so it was unfortunately blunted slightly. But long story short, after the dust had settled, 2 trucks have been eliminated, 2 squads have been reduced to half strength, and this was also damaged from some spare firepower, so it's only got 2 minutes left. The main event of the game, though, was the Vindicare Assassin taking aim at the Jackal Alphas. He fired a shot. Now, even though she's got -1 to hit, he always, if he stays still, irrespective of modifiers, he always hits on a 2+3. Got that hit. He actually rolled a 2, and we thought, oh, bloody hell, he's missed. But no, he got the hit. He got the wound straight through my armour. Flat 3, he did a D3 damage, he did the big 3, got a 3+ for headshot, so he did another wound, then rolled a dice on a 4+ to do another wound, but he rolled a 1, but then he used a CP, the divine intervention of the Emperor kicked in, he rolled the 4, exactly what he needed, and the headshot was achieved on the Jackal Alphas. Priority target 1 sighted and eliminated. Very, very cool, very, very cinematic game by the Scions. They have done what I think they need to do there to keep them in the game, because that first turn was a bit weak. That second turn, they've definitely picked it up. They've responded to the ambush, and unlike maybe lesser units, they responded exactly the way they needed to. So, we're going to get into Brotherhood, Genestealer Cult, turn 2. phase 2 of the ambush will kick in. Let's see if we can start opening up some tin cans over here. And let's see what we can do about this assassin, because I do have my own Sanctus on the way. Genestealer cult turn 2 has been very, very interesting. Rising up from hidden positions throughout the entire battle zone, the Genestealer cult have sprung a perfect ambush onto the Scions. These neophytes came up from surprise positions on the flank of the board and gunned down the 4 plasma Scions that were here, just leaving the commander left alive. Bursting forth from the remaining Goliath truck, supported by the aberrants who had been mauled last turn, these close combat units came in and smashed the Torx Prime that was here. Simultaneously, riding in from the side of the map, 5 demolition bikes used extra explosives and destroyed to the exact damage they needed to. The Torx Prime was there. As they threw their demolition charges, they cried, "For Cain and for the Brotherhood." Moving over here, fire support units put heavy punishing firepower into the Valkyrie, reducing it to just 2 wounds before the remaining acolytes were able to catch it whilst it was in hover mode. Unfortunately, they did touch off the fuel in the Valkyrie. It did explode, which killed one of their number, but also killed 2 of the Scions. The last one actually will have to run away unless James wants to spend 2 CP. No. Also, the officer of the fleet and the commissar took a wound each. There were so few Scions left over from the combat phase because this unit of neophytes rose up from out of the bushes, loaded their AP ammo and blasted into the 10-man Scion squad, supported by another 10-man squad that was here. Heavy stubbers and auto guns absolutely shredding the Scions. Although the heavy stubbers, weirdly, they don't get the AP ammo, it's just the auto guns that are in half range, but the heavy stubbers do get to wound on 3s due to that extra strength that they just have innately. So that was just absolutely brutal. So 10-man Scion squad killed, Valkyrie brought down, we got a Black Hawk down, 2 primes eliminated, and when these guys piled out of their prime, they lost 3 of their number as well. Last but not least, the Sanctus came in using the stratagem for free because he's a Sanctus, it doesn't cost any CP, a perfect ambush, and he was able to get close enough to then get a successful charge on a 7, and he managed to get the Vindicator in the back. He didn't kill him, unfortunately. The lightning fast reflexes of the Vindicator did notify him of the Sanctus at the last moment. The Sanctus was able to get that biodagger in between some armoured plates and do 2 damage to the Vindicator assassin. So we'll see how that battle goes on there. You didn't actually fight back over there, James, but we'll do that after the summary. So, should also mention the Patriarch and his bodyguard came in there. The female Magus came in there. The male Magus there. They all, between their various psychic powers, I did get Mental Onslaught off, which did a wound, but then James got a 6 on the second one, so that broke the link. And then I did also Mind Control one of the Tauruxes, but it just did a wound to the Valkyrie, and he did get 1 smite off, which fried the brain of a single Scion. So the psychic phase was fairly poor, just 1 wound per psyker essentially. Narrative aside, just talking about the custom cult trait, I'm really liking it. The AP -1 on the autoguns is actually a big deal when you're chucking so many of them down. You know, I brought in 2 10-man squads with pretty much all autoguns apart from a couple of Webbers, another 2 10-man squads which had 6 autoguns each. They all came in rapid fire range, so they're in half range. It did make a big difference. You know, normally digging Scions out of cover is quite difficult. But when you've got AP -1, you put them back onto that 4-up, they seem to melt a lot easier. So Scions have taken an absolute punishing turn, but they do still have 2 Torx Primes, which is a lot of Dakar, and my men are exposed. There are men inside those, I believe. 5 men or 10 men?
There's 15 guys still to come out.
15 guys still there.
10
in the Valkyrie, and you've still got some actual drop-down reserves as well. So the Scions are not out of this yet. They have a lot that they have to bring in this turn. I think they are going to have to try and do a sweep and clear mission now, though, because if they don't, another wave, this wave of just close combat madness is going to overwhelm them. So let's see what they do. It's a good counterpunch by the cult, But let's see if the Scions can pull it out of the bag. The Scions disembarked from their transports, forming an absolutely deadly kill zone with overlapping fields of fire against the mobs of cultists in front of them. Under the scrutiny of the warlords, they each took careful aim, unleashing precise bursts into the horde of monstrosities, and every single shot was well placed. In front of them, the aberrants were torn to pieces by overlapping plasma rifles, overcharging plasma rifles even. Even though the aberrants do reduce damage by 1, James wanted to wound on 2s, and he did have reroll 1s thanks to his warlord. So all the plasma from these squads went into the aberrants, and that did actually manage to finish them off. The hotshot volley guns and las guns went into the cultists that were here, the acolytes, and brought them down to just 3. So that was really good fire from them. I have to say the hotshot volley guns really put in some good work. And over here, the Lambden Lion, those technologically boosted flamers, thanks to the Adeptus Mechanicus, AP-1 automatic hitting flamers made short work of the bikes, killing 2 of them. And then the plasma squad and the las guns, and even the cheeky Lord Commissar plasma pistol was able to finish them off. Last but not least, from the shooting phase, the 2 chain cannons, volley guns and storm bolters from these Torx Primes cleared the remaining 3 acolytes and also brutally murdered these 2 squads, except 1 was left alive. Interestingly, the cult then spent 2 CP to make him fearless, and you might think that's unusual for just 1 guy, but there's a stratagem that the cult can employ called telepathic summons, and it allows D6 infantry units to models to be added back to a squad. And at this point in the game, every man is needed. Over here, the Vindicare assassin decided he'd had enough of this wannabe assassin, pulled out his gold-plated magnum, pressed it to the temple of the Sanctus, said, "Dodge this," and pulled the trigger. Absolutely just awesome, awesome this guy. He just survived a sneak attack in the back using his X's pistol. He didn't even need to do it in combat, just use his X's pistol. Which a lot of people say, why do you even bother with the X's pistol? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's very niche moments when it's really, really useful. And this was one of them. So X's pistol, for you that don't know, it's basically like a, like I said, it's like a magnum. It's a pistol version of sniper rifle. It's strength 5, AP minus 3 or 2, D3 maybe. Damage. Yeah, so he just pulled that out. Still hits on 2s in combat. Because it's still a shooting, you know, when he's locked up, so shooting. So just 2s to hit, 3s to wound, no save, D3 damage, blap. Brap, that guy just got shot in the face by a hand cannon. Over here, the Lord Commissar bravely shot his plasma pistol over here. He even overcharged it, but I was able to make a cheeky flare launcher 6-up feel no pain and didn't quite die. And then he turned round, drew his power sword and easily lopped the heads from the remaining 3 acolytes that were there. The officer of the fleet did go in with him, and but the Lord Commissar had already taken care of it. There's nothing for him to do but kick at the remains. The Valkyrie came zooming over here, was able to kill a few of the cultists from this squad. I think it was about 3 cultists from this squad, and then unfortunately was only got 1 wound on the Ridge Runner with its heavy bolters, and I saved it. So that was really unfortunate. And then the sneaky boys came in here, and they shot plasma pistol, overcharge, and 2 las guns at this Ridge Runner, trying to finish it, and just missed, and they just went totally wrong. And then the 2 melter guns went in here and did a single wound. It was kind of embarrassing, really. So I guess what that shows is, you know, speaking from just a tactical point of view, narrative aside for one moment, you know, reinforcements that are deployed amongst the main body do a lot better than those that are sent off on low missions, which is what, you know, me and James have always said, but it's good to sort of see that played out in practice as well as in theory. So there we go, guys. Very strong turn from the Scions. They had to clear those forces. If they'd had a bad turn and they hadn't managed to do that, I think they, the cult would have been all over them like a bad rash. But as a result, they have managed to create an effective killing field here, and the cult are now a bit thin on the ground. And all our characters are exposed to that naughty Vindicare, which is not good. But we do have 30 more neophytes in reserve. So we actually do have the ability to start chewing in to these Scion reinforcements. But there are still some Scions inside this Valkyrie. So it's all to play for at the moment. Let's see what the cult can do to respond in their turn 3. So Genestealer cult turn 3, it was a bit of an up and down turn. We had some good moments, but then there were a few key moments where the dice just went against us. So we deployed our last 30 reserves here, trying to sort of fill the to do the last phase of the trap. So we had people coming in from the front, people coming in from one side, and people coming in from the other. The Scions have literally been attacked from all angles. It was pretty successful actually. We were able to clear away the 5-man squad that was in here and the 4-man command squad. I've actually killed this command squad down to just one guy. He needs to take a leadership check, but we'll do that. Oh no, he can't fail because he is in range of the Lord Commissar, so he's alright. And then this squad here that we did manage to do telepathic summons, but we only got one guy back. So I used a command point, spur of the moment, and I got 2 guys back. But that was, I only had 1 command point left after that. They were able to charge in, kill a guy, they shoot the squad first, then charge, and they managed to bring the squad down to just 1. But then the sergeant of the Scions used his chainsword and killed 2 in return. So bit tit for tat there, 2 for 2. In the psychic phase, I combined all my psychic might onto this 1 Taurox and was able to get down to just 1 wound. Mental Onslaught doing a lot of work there. And then I got a super smite, and foolishly I got a super smite, and then I used my last CP to re-roll it, and I got just 1 extra wound. And the annoying thing is, when it came to the charge phase, I failed my charge by 1 inch, and it was a 1 on one of the dice. And if I'd had that last CP, I could have used it to probably get in. So foolishly spent my sort of cast my last few CP away. And then I tried to do a desperate charge with the Psyker, and then she lost a familiar and took 2 wounds on the way in. The Locust took a couple of wounds. So few last desperate gambits from the cult to try and lock up these murder machines. It just didn't quite go away, unfortunately. All my fire support units failed miserably, but on a positive note, these 2 squads were able to combine their fire and finish, and with a little charge at the end, we were able to finish off the 5-man squad that dropped in there. So the end results aren't too bad. The Scions have got 1 battered Taurox left, 1 good one, and a sort of smattering of infantry over here. But they still have 2 Taurox primes, which is a real problem. And they still have 10 guys left in this Valkyrie. So it really is on a knife edge at the moment. It's really going to see how the dice go for the Scions in their next turn. So let's see what happens. Last thing to mention is the Primus did manage to charge the Lord Commissar and kill him, which is really good. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see what the Scions can do going into their turn 4. So Scions turn 4 was really interesting. They did what I think they had to do there to get a solid lead in the game. So predictably, because we were unable to shut down these Taurox primes, they were able to turn around and just shred the infantry there, and with combination with this volley gun squad as well. After the dust had settled and morale had happened, just 3 lonely lads were left. The Commissar did actually manage to finish 2 off from that squad in combat, which was really cool. The Vindicare popped the Psyker, and the Plasma Scions here finish off the Locust. So these 2 characters are undamaged. So I've got a fully operational Patriarch in play, which is a weapon to surpass Metal Gear. Over here, the last Scion reinforcements dropped down from the Valkyrie. They cleared that squad, and then they charged in over here. And unfortunately, he still has 2 wounds left. My Primus has 2 wounds left, and in return, he killed 1 of the Scions. Smattering of the 3 guys were killed here from the Valkyrie, and that's it. So yeah, the cult alone are short of bodies. I'm not going to lie. We've got a Patriarch, an Acolyte Icon Ward. We've still got 2 vehicles. We've got 1 infantry squad left, and then my Psyker and my Primus. So we are low, but the Scions are also. The Scions have had 1 extra turn. This is pretty much dead. This, is now exposed to the wrath of the Patriarch. And it'll be interesting to see what is left after the dust has settled from the cult turn. So let's see what happens going into cult turn 4. So a real mixed bag for the Genestealer cult. Not what we need at this late stage in the game. So movement phase, the Patriarch moved himself, so he was in between the two Tauroxes. His Acolyte Icon Ward went with him. And these 3 neophytes moved up to the middle part of the road. They then went to the psychic phase, and it was really, I think they've just been, with so few neophytes left on the board, the psychic web that the psychers normally draw upon, the psychic energy is very low. And I got a 3 with this guy's smite, which was huge because he could have, if he just got it off, he could have killed 2 of these volley gun guys, which makes him more likely to live. But he failed. And then the Patriarch went to do all he had to do was a single wound on a 1 wound Taurox, and he got a 3 as well, which really scuffed my plans because it meant that I then had to use the fire support units over here to clear a 1 wound Taurox, because they still struggled to do any wounds. And these guys were only able to kill a single Scion over here with all their firepower. So it was really unfortunate. Just little bits of firepower, you know, like I killed 1 Scion here. I managed to just finish off a 1 wound Taurox Prime. Managed to kill 1 guy over here. And then I was able to toxic inject pistol 1 here. So it was just like 4 Scions dead and a 1 wound Taurox Prime. Wasn't great. But then the combat phase happened and the Patriarch went in, tore, got a really good charge distance. In fact, all 3 of these units got a really good charge distance. They went into the Taurox Prime, destroyed it really easily. And then they managed to tri-point this lone sergeant here, so he can't fall back now. Now that is huge. Now that's very sneaky cult. They're basically using him as a hostage. And the Scions are like, sir, do we have permission to engage? Do we have permission? And the Scion leader's not sure. He's hesitating. He's lost so many men. Does he want to... or the death of 1 more? And that also means that the Inquisitor, the Vindicator Assassin, sorry, can't shoot in as well. So that's a big deal, tri-point that guy. They're going to have to try and finish off the most potent combat unit I have left on the board with bayonets. That is going to be a tall order. However, over here, the Primus was able to kill the Scion squad down to just 1 guy, which was the sergeant. But in return, he was able to do 1 wound, and then the Tempestus Prime also did 1 wound as well. So the Primus has died, unfortunately. So end of turn 4 for the cult. We've still got a squad, still got a bit of our fire support left over. We've removed the last 2 Taurox Primes, and this blob is causing trouble for the enemy. But unfortunately, we have not. There's still plenty of teeth left over in the Scion camp that's deep in our line. So let's see what the Scions can do potentially the last turn of the game. End of Scion, turn 5, potentially the last turn for the Scions. We'll see if it goes on. Was a really, really tactically nail-biting turn for them. So seeing the Patriarch just ripping through men and vehicles, the officer just grabs his fellow and says, "Get to the objective quickly!" And they all moved, sprinted over here. James got like nothing. He got 2. The squad got a 6 on the advance and then another 6 on the advance in the move phase. So they actually moved 24 inches. He got that again with the 1-man guy. And this guy got a 4 on one advance and a 6 on one of the other ones. So the whole unit is just absolutely sprinted over here. The 4-man squad, the 1-man guy and the officer. So they've secured whatever is in this ruined ecclesiastical temple. Whilst they were doing that, this officer and these 2 Lord Commissars tried their best to hold off the Patriarch, and they actually did quite well just due to the fact there were so many of them. This Lord Commissar has got 1 wound left, this Lord Commissar has got 2 wounds left, and this officer has, he's taken 1 wound, so he's got 3 wounds left. The sergeant lived, even though my coach tried to poke him in the back with his binoculars. Over here, amazing. This squad was shot to pieces, and then the last 3 ran away. I got 6 on morale, which is really unfortunate. But amazingly, this guy survived. He's got 1 wound left, and he actually was able to kill the master of the officer of the fleet who charged in and tried to finish him off. So that was really, really good. And last thing to say is the Valkyrie was able to do a couple more wounds to this thing. So the Scions have definitely done some really good damage. They potentially, they're currently sat on 2 objectives. And the cult aren't sat on any of them at the moment. But let's see what the cult can do going into their potentially last turn of the game. We just need to hold a couple of objectives, and then maybe the game will go on. If we can get the Warlord, that would be a bonus as well. But we'll see. We're not sure what's going to happen yet. Let's see what goes on in the cult turn 5. My, what an interesting Genestealer cult turn. How the tables have turned indeed. Scions were sitting pretty on 3 objectives. At the end of that, it's been a bit of a reversal. So, as expected, the Lord Commissars could only hold off the Patriarch for so long. After it got over its initial surprise of these weird giblets of food attacking it, it just turned round and just pulled the head off both Lord Commissars. And then, inspired by its master, the Acolyte Icon Ward, just shivved the crap out of the last Tempestus Prime. This neophyte did fall back at the beginning of the turn onto that objective though, so I'm actually holding that now with an OBSEC unit. Over here, I just got all my fire support guys, and I actually got a couple of smites off as well, which really helped, and was able to, so the smite killed a guy, and then all the fire support, this Achilles Ridge Runner killed the remaining 3, and then the truck went into the last OBSEC guy down there, just in case the game goes on. So that means, and then in the and it should all say he was able to smite 1 guy. So the end result is Genestealer cult holding 1 objective, 2 objectives. This one is not held by anyone, and this church is held by the last true Scion force on the board. And that's the end of turn 5. James is going to roll the dice to see if it goes on. If it doesn't, it will be a Genestealer cult victory. So let's see what happens. Roll it in the middle of the board. It's a 4, so we go on to turn 6. Let's see if the Scions can pull something out of the bag in this turn. It is really hanging in the balance right now, guys. The Scions have just done enough to hold on. So over here, the officer jumped up here and he challenged, the Magus thought he was going to get challenged to a duel, but actually he just called us some close air support, and 6 heavy bolter shots just went into and turned him to mist. Everything else went into the Ridge Runner here. The remaining Valkyrie shots and all the shots from that were in range from the Scion squad, but it lived on 1 wound. I kept making flare launchers here. It's just like that scene from Starship Troopers that are constantly shooting out flares from the top of the vehicle. The plasma pistol did able to do 2 damage to this, but this living is a big deal going into the last turn for the Genestealer cult. The Scions also were able to move and advance the 1-man sergeant onto this objective here, and the Vindicare came down here, Exodus pistoled the neophyte. Now he's on the objective, and then he also used his last command point for double kill, and Exodus pistoled the Patriarch. So we've actually got more use out of the Exodus pistol than the Exodus rifle. So for everyone who wonders why he has that piece of equipment, this is why. Like, it's actually really good to move and shoot with and get up close and personal, which you don't normally want to do with a Vindicare. But when he finds he's in that situation, at least he can, he's not totally useless. So as it stands, at the end of Scion turn 6, they have 1, 2, 3 objectives again. But this is a tenuous hold. This Vindicare has already taken 2 wounds, and it is held by a single guy. So it is very close. Let's see if the cult can do something and try and pull this game back. It's very, very interesting. Let's see what the cult do going into their turn 6. Genestealer cult forces fired everything they could trying to clear the Scions out of this building, but we were only able to kill 1 of them with a cheeky auto cannon round. All the heavy stuffers and mining lasers were ineffective. Fortunately, the Acolyte Icon Ward came over here, charged into the lone sergeant that was holding this objective, and was able to clear him off it. Got plenty. James had to make 3 5-up saves, and he made 1 of them, but unfortunately that Rending Claw got through and was able to kill the last Scion holding that objective. Over here, the boss battle happened. The Patriarch charged in. Amazing, the Vindicator hit on Overwatch, but only managed to do 1 wound to him. That was really fortunate. Then the Patriarch went in there and just absolutely torn to pieces. 6 hits, 6 wounds, 2 of which were the super wounds, and the Vindicator was just torn limb from limb. So as it stands, Genestealer Cult hold 1 objective, 2 objectives. The Scions hold 1 objective, 2 objectives. Well, the Genestealer Cult have First Strike and potentially Line Breaker over here. But the game could go on to turn 7. James, do you want to roll that dice? He wants it to go on. It goes on! Oh my god, it's a long game. Why do my battle forts keep going to turn 7? I'm so tired. Let's see what happens. Going into turn 7, Scions. Very quick sound turn, not much left on the board now. The officer came over to challenge the Acolyte Icon War, but like, it seems to be a tradition amongst these Scions. They sort of get the enemy character ready for honourable duel and then call on the escort. The Acolyte Icon Ward was just turned to red mist, and that character is now holding that objective, and that is the Warlord. That means that the Scions currently... Oh, the Scions are also in here. We're finally able to kill the nemesis of them, which is this Ridge Runner. The volley guns finally did a good job and just tore through that armour. Actually, I've just realised I should have got a 6 of armour save there. Oh, no, I wouldn't because of your extra AP. God damn the extra AP. It's worked really, really well for these Lambden Lions. So, that means all the Cult have left is a slightly damaged truck and a half-killed Patriarch. But it's not over yet, because can we secure 1 single objective? Maybe via the use of Mental Onslaught. We'll see what happens in the Genestealer Cult's turn 7. End of Genestealer Cult, turn 7, end of the game. So it was really, really close. The Genestealer Cult moved into range that we could use Mental Onslaught on the enemy Warlord. That was right, guys. It was a Warlord versus Warlord battle of the minds. But unfortunately, I needed a 6. I got a 4. So, in a desperate last gambit, the truck moved over in range of the objective, firing off shots wildly. An autocannon round did clip the commander, but he lived. And a stubber round, he was saved as well. Last desperate charge, but I only got 1 hit and then I failed to wound. As a result, this objective is contested. The Cult hold this objective. The Scions hold 2, which means they have 6 points at the end of the game. And the Cult have 4 points. We have 3 points for this objective, and then I've moved out of Line Breaker, so
you got first strike.
So I've got First Strike. So it would have been close if I had sort of managed to keep Line Breaker and kill this guy. Then maybe I could have held it. That's one way I could have done it, because if I just banked on the truck just killing him, maybe it could have happened, but I wanted to try and make sure that I wasn't doing it on secondaries. I could have drawn on secondaries, guys, but I wanted to go for the win, go for glory. So there you go, guys. Absolutely fantastic game. James has absolutely played his heart out. First proper 2K game, 8th edition, mano a mano, and I think the Scions have performed really, really well. This guy, jump pack guy, defiantly holding on to the end, trench coat guy, surviving being run over by a truck. Not many men can say that. But for the Cult, the only things that have died are the fodder and the minions. And the Patriarch of the Brotherhood still lives, which means he's going to slink away to rise up and cause trouble on another planet. That
Patriarch has forced every unit in my army and has only taken 3 wounds.
Literally has started here and has just munched his way through everything. Even the assassin couldn't stop him. So he's definitely the man of the match for the Genestealer Cult. I don't know, who would you say is the man of the match for you? This Valkyrie, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or my Vindicator.
Or your Vindicator. He's dead, though. So there we go. Absolutely fantastic game. Really good to see these two forces. Great example of the new Scions in action. Great example of the Cult Creed in action. The last sort of wrap-up comment I would say is a lot of people have sort of poo-pooed some of the Genestealer Cult Creeds. And just from trying them today, I think if you build around them, they're really powerful. If I just had a whole army of those neophytes with AP -1 bullets, oh my god, that's really powerful. It was punching through Scion armor, and removing they basically had to not cover on Science the whole game, which was really, really good. So we'll leave it there, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. The Scions have successfully quashed the Brotherhood uprising on this planet, but we don't know. Maybe it'll be back again soon. Thank you very much for playing, James, and thank you very much everyone for watching. See you guys next time.